LaVelle, the Twins are actually running. Or if you're an NFL analyst, you have to say using their legs. They're not, NFL analysts aren't allowed to say running. They always have to say quarterbacks are using their legs. You can't say the word running in NFL analysis. That's always driven me crazy. The Twins are using their legs. They're running. It's a very interesting development. Royce Twins even talked about it. I want to get into that and some other Twins issues here on Chin Music. This is our baseball show at TalkNorth.com. He's LaVelle E. Neal III from the Star Tribune and TalkNorth.com. I'm Jim Souhan from the Star Tribune and TalkNorth.com. We've both been covering the Twins since the 90s. LaVelle basically replaced me on the beat in the late 90s, so we've been covering this team for a long time. We've seen many ups, many downs. This might be one of the most depressing downs we've ever seen, but we try to talk about some hopeful things other than just, we certainly bash them when they deserve it. We also want to talk some hopeful things, and really interesting conversation with Royce Lewis had with the beat writers recently. Let's get into that. Once again, this is Chin Music. This is TalkNorth.com. Best way to listen to this show or any show at the network is to subscribe to your favorite podcast app. We're coming to you from the Aquarius Home Services studio, and we're presented to you by OnX Maps. Thanks to Aquarius Home Services.
Scott for Aquarius Home Services. Summer's packing up and chilly mornings are sneaking in. Don't face them with a cranky furnace, flickering lights, or a water heater that quits mid-shower. With $98 off any furnace, electrical, or plumbing repair, we'll fix the headaches so you can sip cider, rake leaves, or just pretend to rake leaves. Aquarius, local, trusted, and earning the right to be recommended. Schedule today at AquariusHomeservices.com.
Hey, this is Randy Shaver. Along with Kevin Gorg, we host the show Fantasy Huddle on Talk North. Each week, we're going to break down the matchups for the NFL season and try to give you the best chance to win your fantasy football games each and every week. Join us for Fantasy Huddle on Talk North.
All right, so what Royce was talking about is the fact that, of course, stealing bases can be a strategic advantage. If you steal at a high enough rate and if you pick your spots, of course, it's a good thing. But Royce talked about something that I've been hearing about since I covered Tom Kelly way back in the day, and that is play the game. This is the overarching, seemingly simplistic philosophy that Tom Kelly had. Play the game. What did he mean by that? He meant don't just stand on their base and wait for somebody to move you to your next base. Try to take the extra base when warranted. Try to steal when you have an advantage or when you can read the pitcher or when the catcher is slow to get the ball out of his glove, whatever it is. In other words, be engaged in every aspect of the game. Look for every fair advantage you can find. And basically, listen to Royce Lewis talk this week about that. He was saying this, here's a young guy who came up as a pure power hitter who never stole bases. Now, all of a sudden, he's stealing a lot of bases. Rocco Baldelli is having this team steal a lot, having them run a lot. And yes, there is the primary benefit of that, which is getting another 90 feet closer to home plate, but it also wakes up your baseball brain. It makes you study the pitcher. It makes you study the catcher. It makes you study situations. It puts you on your toes instead of your heels, where you might get that one more base, or you might score that one more run that might make all the difference in a competitive season. What are you reading into their willingness to run so much right now?
Well, I just think, we've gotten away generally in baseball from playing total baseball. And that includes base running, moving guys over, stealing bases, and being aggressive. I'm always a big believer in using the skills that a player brings to the table. And if speed and using their legs to steal bases is one of them, go ahead and flaunt it. We gotten fixated with the three true outcomes era of baseball when a bat ends up with a walk, strikeout, or a home run. I'd like to see speed become more prevalent. Stealing second, maybe stealing third. If you're Byron Buxton and can't be thrown out for a year and a half, why not steal third base? Take advantage of everything you have to offer. And managers take advantage of the skill sets that they have on their roster. I don't see what's wrong with what Rocco is doing. I would like to see them get into extra inning situations and maybe move the runner over to third base right off the bat and start putting pressure on the defense that way, because they can score in anything. And speed puts pressure on defenses as well. I just think I call it total baseball when, power hitters can hit for power, average hitters can hit for average, and guys who got wheels can use their wheels and steal bases. I don't see what's wrong with that approach. I wish Rocco would to have done more of this, not just this year, just past years when he's had some guys who can run on the team. Take advantage of those wheels, man.
Well, it is fascinating because Rocco's first year as manager, he wins 101 games, basically with the philosophy that you have all these power hitters, the ball's flying out of the ballpark. Why would you risk an out on the bases? And for that team, that was absolutely the right choice. But this isn't that team. And the ball isn't flying out of the ballpark the way it was. And the guys who are trying to hit home runs are trying so hard to hit home runs are also striking out 85% of the time. So what I like about this is I think Luke Keeschel is going to be a dynamic all-around player, and he can steal bases, and he should steal bases. Buxton should not only steal 20, 25 bases a year, he should steal 40 because for him, stealing third base should be so easy. And then he can score on a sacrifice fly, a ground ball to the middle infield, a wild pitch, a pass ball, a fielding error. And I know, he said in the past, well, hey, I'm already in scoring position on second base, but you're not in scoring position for a wild pitch third base is better than second no matter who you are. Then you have Austin. And here's what I think is really interesting. I think Austin Martin is showing us that he's a player and he can steal bases. He's athletic. And I think where his career took a downturn was when he tried to be a power guy, and he's just not built like the power guy. He's a runner. Yeah. So I think that this is a really interesting. And if you have Royce stealing bases, Luke stealing bases, Austin Martin in the lineup, Buxton in the lineup, all of a sudden you got four guys who can really cause a defense problem, who can steal you some runs, who can score you that one run in a special situation. I'm all for it.
Yeah, exactly. And I look at Austin Martin, and I think with more experienced hitters can find a way to hit for more power, but to make it a point of emphasis during Martin's formative years, as soon as he came over in the trade for Jose Barrios, which netted them Martin and Simeon Woods Richardson, the Twins immediately tried to add power to his toolbox. I'm looking at this guy going, that guy hit for a lot of power. Maybe down the road as he gets man muscles and gets some experience, but not now. I like this version of Austin Martin who can steal bases, and he's hitting 293 and he's got on base percentage of 381. That can contribute to a batting order. You're at the top of the order, you're at the bottom of the order. They're the type of guy. So stealing bases is fun and is exciting. And I think it's great that Buxton's probably known more for when he gets thrown out than he does when he steals bases. We know that AJ Przinsky threw him out the last time he tried to steal third, which is years ago. And we know that Kyle Schwarber threw him out like the one time he got tossed out in the minors. So I think that's makes the game even more fun and more exciting. It keeps everybody on their toes, keeps opponents on their toes. It keeps fans watching. I'm sure the Milwaukee Brewers are going to rub off on some other teams with their success this year because they're doing things like that, stealing bases, moving guys over, putting the ball in play, and getting occasional power. So, like I said, I like the idea of total baseball.
And I think it can energize a team. It keeps everybody, and Royce was right on point. So it keeps everybody studying everything that's happening on the field instead of just looking for a fastball you can hit 8 miles. And guess what? If you have a guy on second or third base instead of first, just standing there waiting for you to hit a home run, you might actually shorten your stroke and hit a line drive someplace. And I don't know if there's divergence between the front office and Rocco on this. I think the front office believes in power, and Rocco now wants to see more speed. But I think in this case, Rocco's right for this roster. If you don't have sluggers, don't ask them to try to be sluggers. All they're going to do is strike out.
All right, I agree with that. I think he's adapted to what he has. I think the Twins still need to find someone to anchor the middle of the order and build the lineup around, even if it ends up being a mini version of Jack Clark with the 1980 Cardinals running around stealing bases around him. They got to find someone to be the fulcrum of that offense, but to have guys with speed who can take advantage of it and grab a base every now and then. I think I have no problems with that. And I think baseball teams should look into doing more of that if they have those type of personnel on their roster.
Yes. And listen, when Walker Jenkins comes up and Emma Rodriguez come up, if they are capable of hitting 30 home runs and having that approach, you're not going to change them. I'm not saying you should turn a power hitter into just a runner. I'm saying that if you have somebody who can steal bases and you don't want them to just think only of home runs. Go for it. So it's gonna be really interesting because like Matt Wallner, they've been working with Matt Wallner for a long time now, and he is an all or nothing hitter, and he's not producing many runs, and he's striking out a lot, and he's not getting on base. And if he keeps doing that, and the emphasis shifts toward on base percentage and athleticism, he might be in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, he's got 22 homers and 40 RBI. I mean, that's hard to do.
I don't know how you do that. Well, actually, I know exactly how you do that. You swing for the fences, even when there's a guy on second.
Yeah, I mean, he's become Joey Gallo. That's not a good thing. Sorry to take the conversation in a different direction, but Luke Keisha, where would you bat him in the lineup next year?
It's funny. I was just looking at that because Austin Martin, if he keeps playing like this, profiles as a guy you want somewhere near the top of the order. Buxton seems to be most comfortable at the top of the order. So I almost think you'd like to have a left-handed batter in there someplace. But, if you want to just ignore the handedness and just talk about a standard lineup or a stand-up lineup against lefties, it would also have to be like Buck, then Martin, then I want Keishel as my number 3 hitter. I probably want. I would like a left-handed hitting guy at first base, DH, corner, outfield, who you feel comfortable putting in the cleanup spot, and then maybe Lee is your 6th hitter, or if you're 5 hitter, somewhere in there, and then Jeffers probably behind him, and this all looks pretty good if, of course, you project these guys to have good years. They're going to have to actually produce, and we've seen young hitters fail this team 2 years in a row. But I also think you need, however you can get them, whoever it is, you need a Nelson Cruz type, preferably this time a left-handed hitter who can bat 4th or 5th and just settle the lineup down.
All right. I'd like to see Brooks Lee do more offensively. I think he'd be great in the number 2 spot in the order. That would probably push Martin into the 9 hole.
Right.
Connect with Buxton.
And that'd be fine too.
Yeah. But this is up to Lee. I mean, he's still not hitting the ball hard. He's got a 670 OPS. I know he homered yesterday. Just need to see more of it, man. And he's got about 800 plate appearances. So it's got to start seeing something more of him. But yeah, once Nelson Cruz was traded, Rocco stopped having a number 3 guy, a number 4 guy in the order. I think it's just hard to put a lineup together when that's the one spot you don't have personnel to fill in at. So, but yeah, I'm intrigued to see where Keisha's headed from this, because the fact that he got to such a fast start, then suffered a broken bone and then recovered, and he's still batting 304 in his first year. He is setting himself up nicely. Well, once again, hopefully it's not a second year swoon like we've seen a couple of these guys do, like Royce Lewis. So we'll see.
The thing about Luke is I think his swing is less slump prone than Royce's. Royce has to have the timing down perfect. He has a little bit of a long swing. If his timing with that left foot isn't perfect, he gets in real trouble. I think Keishel has more of a Kirby Puckett swing where it is short, it's quick, and it allows him to stay back. It allows him to hit all kinds of pitching in all directions. I actually think he's, listen, of course he's going to have a slump at some point, but I don't think he's going to have the existential slump that Royce had.
No, Royce's swing gets long at times, and he still chases pitches off the plate that he shouldn't be chasing.
Yep.
I don't see Keishel chase too often.
No.
There's times when he thinks he can be aggressive on some pitches, and maybe he gets in trouble there, but just really chasing breaking balls down and away, which Lewis does a lot of, more to my liking. I don't see Luke do that much. And once again, that's another good signing.
Yes. Let's take care of the people who take care of us. Let's start off with the question, have you ever driven past a piece of land and wondered who owns that, or maybe you need to know exactly where a property line runs? That's where onX Hunt comes in, and it's not just for hunters. There are folks using onX for their jobs every day throughout the country, from farmers and ranchers mapping out their fields, wildland firefighters navigating rough terrain, to construction workers needing to know who owns what property. This app offers something for everyone. If you need the best land ownership maps, aerial imagery, and property boundaries in your pocket, onX Hunt is the tool for the job. Try it free for 7 days. Download onX Hunt in the app or Google Play Store, or visit onxmaps.com/hunt to get started. Thanks also to Minnesota Masonic Charities.
Today, I want to talk a little bit about the Minnesota Masonic Charities. When you think about the Masons, I get it. You think about the funny hats, those pancake breakfasts, which are phenomenal. My dear friend John Schweitz and I have chatted about this, and it's so much more than that. They've got the Masonic home over in Bloomington. They've got the hospital for the children over at the U of M. They are the largest fraternal organization in terms of charitable needs in our country, and they deserve a ton of recognition. So thank you, Minnesota Masonic Charities, for all you do and for supporting us over here at Talk North, and a special thanks to my good friend, John Schweitz.
And here's Talk North star Michael Russo for Clamshell Beach Resorts.
Hey, have you been dreaming of a lake cabin lifestyle with boating, fishing, and family fun in northern Minnesota? Well, lately I've thought a lot about how cool it would be to have a getaway like so many Minnesotans. And if you're like me, you probably think that owning your own lakeside getaway is beyond your budget. Well, if you think lake cabin real estate prices keep going up, well, think again. This is Russo, and I'm here to tell you there is an affordable way to enjoy a cabin lifestyle and all that goes with it. And yes, I said affordable. I founded a Clamshell Beach Resort, which is located on the Whitefish chain of 14 lakes for you and your family to enjoy. Here's how. Clamshell has lake homes that offer deeded fractional ownership, and the keywords there are deeded and fractional. You own it. Imagine having 5 weeks a year to enjoy Clamshell with its beaches, pool, and lodge that's full of kids' activities. Is golf your game? There's a great golf course right across the road. Like winter sports? Well, you can go ice fishing, cross-country skiing, or snowmobiling right out the door at Clamshell. And there's no maintenance, no grass mowing, no snow removal. It's done all for you. And you can own a share of Clamshell Beach Resort at an affordable price. To learn more about ownership opportunities at Clamshell Beach Resort, go to cottagesonwhitefish.com or contact Pat Egan at 612-220-9819. That's cottagesonwhitefish.com or Pat Egan at 612-220-9819.
You know, there are two guys that are really fascinating, especially when you hear people in the general public talk about them. And in one case, Royce Smalley, who's, a tough customer. Brooks Lee and Trevor Larnach, if you just watched them and you never looked up their stats, you'd have the feeling they're really good offensive players. And then you go look at the stats and they're, I think Larnach's OPS has hovered around 730, 740 all year, which is okay, but it's not great for a power hitting corner outfielder who doesn't do other things well. And then Brooks Lee, you watch him and he hits some home runs and he seems to have a good approach and he has this balanced look to him and you kind of like it all. And then you look at the numbers and as you said, his OPS is like 670, 680, which is not good enough. He's not a defensive player. He can handle his position.
Yeah.
He can get the job done, but he's not a plus defensive player. He's going to have to hit to have value. And the numbers just don't reveal that he's hitting enough right now.
Brooks Lee has a minus 0.6 WAR this year.
There you go.
And 500 plate appearances. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And he's played shortstop since the trade deadline. That just is remarkable. So that's the other thing too. I mean, you don't mind if you don't have a glove at second, that's fine as long as the guy's hitting. But you definitely want a glove at short, even if they are hitting. You like to see someone somewhat capable of defending the position. And I haven't talked the scouts I talked to about Brooks. The scouts I talked to have problems with the entire left side of the infield.
Yeah.
They're concerned about Royce's long-term future as a third baseman as well as Brooks Lee. So those two guys got to hit to earn their keep. The thing is, I don't think they have. Well, Kalen Culpepper is sitting at AA Wichita, and he could be knocking on the door next year as long as he doesn't, have a injury breakdown. So it'll be interesting to see if he gets a strong look once he's ready. But get back to Larnach and Lee. Yeah, those are two guys, especially Brooks. Brooks looks like he's a hitter when he gets in the batter's box. I don't know if he's because the way he wears his socks, he's got that old school look to him, and Rocco mentions that Lee's not a shrimp. He's like 205, so he should be driving the ball and hurting the ball a little bit more. I don't know if there's something he needs to correct during the off season or go find the hitting version of Driveline to get his mechanics smoothed out so where he can drive the ball more, but it's just not there. And it's not, like you said, the numbers don't match what the eye test is,
Yeah, exactly right. Royce is interesting in that I think he has improved his fielding dramatically this year. I think he's a much better fielder than he was a year ago. And he just doesn't airmail the throw once a week that he used to. But let's be honest with Royce. What they want is him to be the magical bat that he looked like he was going to be. And if he starts hitting home runs, clutch home runs, grand slams, home runs in large numbers, then it almost won't matter where he plays. They'll just want him in the lineup wherever, corner, outfield, whatever.
No, you're right about that. Yeah, it was exciting to see 2 years ago when he was hitting grand slams left and right, and he was people calling him Mr. Grand Slam. And there was juice, there was electricity in that bat. There was juice in that bat. And the ball was flying out all over the place. And we've been waiting for him to have a stretch of health so he could put that offense back on the field. But it has not been evident. And that's been the head scratcher. Yeah, he's come a long way defensively. I remember, when the Twins first called him up, I talked to a scout who watched him in the minors. I said, he's gone from being an athlete playing shortstop to a shortstop playing athlete, and there's a big difference between those two types of players. And he had starting to make that transition as a third baseman. But he definitely he won't be in the running for a Gold Glove anytime soon, unless he, makes it. Players can always get better. They can always improve. They can always, invest time in their defense in the offseason and come back better for it. And hopefully he goes into the offseason. And Brooks, too, going into the offseason healthy, they have a normal offseason program in which they can, drill down on the details of being better defensive players and maybe finding something with the swing to get more production out of it. So it's, I don't want to give up on players. Players develop at different rates. And Royce is still 26 years old,
And he basically didn't have a minor league career with all the injuries. So
that's right.
He is still a young hitter in terms of number of professional at bats.
Yeah, it's weird how many times the Twins have had these guys who have missed development time because of injuries. It happened to Buxton coming up through the minors. You mentioned Royce Lewis. It was happening to Walker Jenkins.
Mm-hmm.
It's just been weird.
Emma Rodriguez, yep.
Yeah, Rodriguez too. It's weird that they've had issues with some of these guys breaking down, and then on the other side, someone like Joe Mara pretty much had a smooth ride through the minors and then comes to the majors and stuff starts happening to him. So you can't win for losing here.
No, it's bizarre. And the Twins have changed trainers and they've tried everything. I don't really hold them responsible for the injuries. I think the injuries just happen because the modern athlete, my theory is the modern athlete just works too hard. They just don't take any rest. They're driven. They are dedicated. They work around the clock. They work around the calendar, and their body never has that time to just get a little fat and relaxed. And I think it's a problem.
Yep. Yeah. The guys are going after 6% body fat. I mean, don't worry. Have a steak every now and then, some steak and potatoes once in a while. And it's okay. You don't have to be totally sculpted to play baseball. There's been fat baseball players for years, and there's a bunch of them in the league now. So I agree. Sometimes they're always working out, watch the season will end. And, I know a bunch of players will take 2 weeks off or a pitcher will take a month off and start and play golf. And then the next thing you know, they're back in the gym.
Yeah. And I just think, people think that the players of yesteryear were tougher. I don't believe that. I think that they had rest in the off season. They had shorter seasons. They had a little less travel. And I just think they had less wear and tear on the body. Also, what people don't remember about the old days is like a pitcher would get an arm problem and he would just disappear. You just never see him again. Now, when somebody gets hurt, it's intense rehab and they're still in the clubhouse. You still hear about them. You're getting timetables. In the old days, you hurt your arm. You just were no longer a professional baseball player.
No doubt. That's right. And you can't disappear now in this day and age.
No,
you're going to some famous doctor or going to some famous facility to rehab and recover and bounce back. And there's too much money to be made to not keep trying. Brock Stewart's an example of that. He came out of independent ball playing for the Chicago Deep Dish just to try to have a major league career again. And he's trying, although he's broke down after he got traded to the Dodgers. And I don't blame him. If you're a catcher, the Paredes kid that the Twins called up, he's 29 and he's still trying to find a way on the major league roster. I don't blame him for, being able to play sports, people, like to travel. They like the paycheck. So, it's hard to disappear.
Yeah, and plus you get one big contract, you're set for life. I mean, nobody else even people who have good careers and good jobs, you don't have that. You don't have that brass ring sitting there that you can set up your life for the rest of your life. There's lasting 10 years in the big leagues and getting the pension on top of all the money you made. There's also just getting that one big check that can set you up.
Right. Randy Dobnak.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. All right, let's do our Booze and Blues segment. Roy will be joining us again. Our plan is, while I'm in London next week covering the Vikings, to do a show from there, hooking up with Roy and LaVelle via modern technology. For this week, Roy's off. It's just me and LaVelle. My recommendation for this week musically, you've heard of the Jayhawks. You've heard of Wilco. You've heard of the Replacements. You've heard of Run Westy Run, Honey Dogs, Big Star, all the great Minneapolis bands of yesteryear. Well, that group of supergroups had its own supergroup. The supergroup was called Golden Smog. I remember when I first got to town, I started listening to Down by the Old Main Stream, and it was fantastic. They are still putting out albums. I do check out Down by the Old Main Stream, released in 1995. Just a great album. They've done Weird Tales, Another Fine Day, Blood on the Slacks. They've done a best of compilation. I think they're working. Last I read, they were working on a new album. Great musicians, great people. Check it out if you get the chance. Gary Loris does a lot of stuff with Mark Perlman, the bass player from Pearl Jam. They've had, again, other great people in there as well. Dan Murphy, Craig Johnson, Dave Perner from Soul Asylum used to contribute, Noah Levy, Jeff Tweedy, just great names. Check it out if you get a chance. Of course, the Jayhawks very generously donated music to use as bumper music for this network, and I will always be grateful for that. Golden Smog is their cool side project, and if you like that kind of music, you will love their music. LaVelle, you got anything to add, or should we just wrap it up for this week?
We can wrap it up, but it's intriguing because when you said Golden Smog, I have not heard that name in a while.
Yeah.
And I think they've been going on about 40 years now. I think. Was it the late 80s?
I think they got together. I think they got together early 90s. The first album they produced was 95.
It's interesting how Mark Perlman's name keeps popping up on this podcast every now and then, it seems like.
Well, he's the bass player for the Jayhawks. He's also like their vice president. And he's a great musician and a great guy. We used to play hoops with him all the time. He's just a really good person. Great. And again, great musician. And, Jayhawks, Golden Smog is one of those bands. I think they did fine. They've played a million places. They've made money touring, but they never had that one breakthrough hit that just set them up for life and made them a household name across America. And that's a shame because I think a lot of the songs they did should have been breakthrough hits. And they just didn't, I read a story recently. John Bon Jovi wrote Runaway. It was his first hit and couldn't get anybody to play it on the radio. And he didn't have a reputation yet. He probably didn't have the right management at that time. And he literally walked into a DJ's outer office and knocked on the window and talked him into inviting him in and playing his record. And that's how his career started. Who knows if John Bon Jovi ever would have made it if he hadn't had that one break. Artists need a break at some point.
Right. So was Perlman part of the Tuesday, Thursday St. Thomas basketball league? Wow.
Well, when I played with that group, we played at Longfellow Gym down on 55, and then we tried a couple other different gyms. I don't remember playing at St. Thomas. Maybe the St. Thomas was after I started covering baseball and I couldn't spare the time anymore.
When I got hired here, I got pulled into the Tuesday, Thursday league at St. Thomas and McCarthy Gymnasium. And that's how I met Dennis Denning, because the baseball office was next to the gym. And so the members of Semisonic, the drummer and the bass player for Semisonic, and a couple musician lawyers, Doug Myron comes to mind.
We called him Evil Doug because he never missed a shot. And John Munson from Semisonic, the bass player. Right. And I think Dan Wilson, who of Hollywood fame now. he played with I think he and his brother played a couple times back when they were in Trip Shakespeare. Man, this bringing back memories.
I know, because I was over at St. Thomas for the tour of the new arena, and McCarthy Gym is gone because it's part of the new stadium, But they're naming the practice facility at McCarthy Gymnasium in honor of the old gym. So over there, it was taking me back to those days when I was playing my bad basketball at St. Thomas.
We had a lot of bad basketball, but it was fun, and it was a great group of characters. And every once in a while, we'd have a ringer come, like Jim Shikenjansky came over and played with us after his Gopher career ended. And I don't think he was really impressed with the level of competition, but it was cool for him to stop by.
How about that?
Yeah. All right. Good stuff, LaVelle. I appreciate it. Hopefully I'll talk to you from London next week. We expect to be rejoined by Roy Smalley then. We appreciate everybody listening to this show and TalkNorth.com. Remember to subscribe, and we'll talk to you soon.